Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PlotCast. I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sandbrook, and today we're going to be going over our initial thoughts on the first episode of Lanterns. All right, now with Lanterns finally out, there's been a lot of hype leading up to it, mainly because the first outing for the Green Lantern was a bit of a failure, and we have Ryan Reynolds to thank for that. Thankfully, Deadpool took care of that problem. But Lanterns is finally out, and it is very, very different from that initial outing. And honestly, it is refreshing. I will definitely say that it's refreshing to have a more grounded pace, just a more grounded set. Obviously, we've already seen Green Lantern as Guy Gardner
Yeah,
in the most recent Superman movie, but now we're getting into Hal Jordan, John Stewart, the most recognizable of the Green Lanterns.
yeah.
So, Nate, obviously watching this, you don't have that much of a background on the lanterns in general, right?
No, I mean, as far as DC goes, if it's not Batman or Superman, my knowledge is very minimum. I mean, I know about, Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, and John Stewart, but other than that, like really their backgrounds and whatnot, not so much. So I really don't know.
Yeah. I mean, as far as Guy Gardner's concerned, he's not entirely represented the same way, and he is kind of pushed down in the comics. So, obviously, the focus is almost always Hal Jordan and John Stewart, and they kind of have a different approach to being lanterns. Hal Jordan, obviously, most recognizable is in most of the um, Justice League stuff. He is more of the intergalactic protector. He will go out to other planets and do it. And they kind of even mentioned that in this show where he says he was gone for a while and he came back and he was talking about going to another planet and, peace. There is now peace there. Whereas John Stewart is more of the militaristic, the strategic planner. Like he is the one that deals with more military focused storylines.
He's kind of more the
Um,
domestic kind of
yes,
protector.
he is mostly at home,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
So you don't need too much of that knowledge, first of all, because they are changing things. They are changing a lot of things for this new DC reboot. We're going to be seeing kind of a new lore set up, but obviously there is a ground in the original stuff. So, I mean, we don't know how far back they're going to be taking things as far as
Yeah.
the other lanterns are concerned.
And before we go any further, spoiler alert.
But as far as this show, they have made it more of a murder mystery, which we didn't know about until the very end. The premise, I mean, we were kind of quoted as it was going to be a buddy cop drama, which it is, despite the fact that the main character dies in the first episode. And that kind of sets us off on the path of a murder mystery. I'm assuming that was going to develop more information leading up to his death throughout the rest of the series.
And obviously, how the episode ends, you can tell that they're not just going to put Hal Jordan in this beginning episode and then that be it. I mean, they did several things. First of all, they ended up bringing in the hologram. So somehow, I mean, granted, the ring, we don't know where the ring is. We don't know where it went, but I have a feeling somehow we'll get another hologram somehow. Maybe if he finds the ring or whatever.
Yeah, I
But
think the assumption, because they did show that it was 2026, that the assumption is that Guy Gardner has the ring, but they're acting like there is only one ring,
yeah,
which we know there is not.
like I said, Hal Jordan's dead, quote unquote. But I definitely don't think this is going to be the last of them because why would you only bring him in for this? And we had a time skip. I'm sure we're going to have several different flashbacks and stuff like that. Plus, they introduced a hologram. That's going to be probably a key.
They're definitely going to be using the hologram again for the future part after his death. I have no doubt that there's going to be messages passed along, but noticed how when it popped up, it was kind of like a alarm. Like you set an alarm for a certain
Yeah.
time to come out. So I feel like it's going to pop up at certain convenient times, and we're going to have a hologram moment, and then maybe important key information will be revealed, and it will lead to the next clue or whatever they're going to
See,
do with
you
this.
just kind of gave me the idea of how this is gonna work. Basically, if he John Stewart, if he finds the ring, let's say by the end of the second episode, okay, I have a feeling throughout the rest of the show, at certain points when, let's say, John Stewart gets to somewhere that maybe Hal was at or something like that, might trigger like a
Yeah,
save file to where obviously we might see the flashback to where Hal Jordan was and how it'd be like, okay, I found this information about this alien, record this, and this is my findings. And then each
right.
time John Stewart gets to kind of like that same kind of
Yeah, there've
place or whatever, it'll
definitely
pop up.
yeah. There've definitely been some clues because you'll notice when the hologram first pops up, he says, "Wait, am I dead?"
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's our kind of first clue that that's going to keep reoccurring. Um, they also kind of put in certain clues too that he may not actually be dead.
Yeah.
One of the big ones was when they were interrogating the alien. The cop was like, "No, he had an MRI. We know he is human." And that's when he has John explain, oh, there's 14 different alien species that possess the biological or technological capability to mimic or create a human body that is entirely indistinguishable from the real thing. So
Which
if they created a human body and then made it look like a dead body, just saying that could be the way that they're going to have the fake out of his
yeah,
death.
which you and I were talking beforehand, you are kind of a little bit not kind of happy with so many ambiguities. It's kind of too much for a lot of people to kind of try and pick up on. And I'm one of
Yeah,
those people because you and I talked, I was confused, especially how the beginning was. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
yeah,
But
yeah. So part of the problem is that it is a murder mystery in the murder mystery style. And as all murder mysteries, they always give you all the information you need to figure it out right at the beginning. Agatha Christie is kind of the all-star when it comes to murder mysteries, and she's kind of got this layout where you always see the killer and you always see kind of the way that the murder is going to occur, and then you have everyone else involved that is just there to be misleading.
yeah,
um and we've seen so few people that it feels like, first of all, it's, I'm not saying magical, but there's kind of that supernatural, magical kind of essence to the story that it could go in so many different directions. There's no way you could truly figure it out just from the first episode. There's too many possibilities of it being a fake out. And on top of that, the only real person that they've shown that he has a gunshot to the head. We've seen a gun-toting group and the leader, that they've kind of implied that that's who it is.
yeah.
But I don't think that's where they're going. If they are, that is way too simple
Yes,
for it
and
to
it's
be a murder mystery.
super obvious. Like Hal Jordan, and that's probably what they're doing. Hal was like making it obvious too. He's like, "Oh well, what am I gonna be indebted to you guys for something? What do you want?" Like he's asking all these questions. I mean, realistically, for all we know, like the cowboy, militia guys are actually really the good guys. For all
Yeah,
we know.
exactly. Exactly. They definitely play a part in it. And of course, that's going to be his first stop. Any kind of investigation, you're going to go to where the obvious takes you. So the problem is I don't think they really showed the person who did it, assuming that it's an actual death. And if they did, it's going to be so minute. There's no way you could have guessed that's how it occurred and who it was that did it. So it just feels unfair to the audience in the sense of a murder mystery. There's not enough information in this episode to really paint that picture in a fair way.
Yeah.
So murder mystery aside, as a buddy cop drama, though, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I'm loving the chemistry between these two. It reminds me of Rush Hour for some reason.
Yeah.
And the only problem I had with this was the fact that at the beginning, we had young John Stewart there with his brothers, and they're like afraid. Obviously, someone's not there and someone's coming home. They're doing something they shouldn't, and they're just up late. Kids up late watching TV when they should be in bed, and then their parent gets home. In my mind, what was happening? I was expecting the father to be abusive and super upset. I was expecting like a drunk coming home or whatever. But for me, honestly, I thought it was even worse when I saw him in the military outfit. I'm like, oh, he's gonna get his butt whooped for real now. And no, I mean, well, in a way, yeah, but technically, the other 2 kids were just, like, there, that I guess they went to bed. He took John out back, put an apple on his head, and said, "Are you afraid?" He said, "No," and then shot it. And I was trying to figure out what was the whole point of this. Like, if you're trying to scare the kid, but he's not scared, how is that a punishment? And it
Yeah.
just didn't click with me at all. And then the other thing
Yeah.
that didn't make sense to me too is obviously the father knew he was watching Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, and he asked him, "Oh, you got his name?" And I wasn't like, I didn't really follow what was going on, but then you
Yeah.
had to explain it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, now that makes sense." And obviously, it definitely is gearing towards fear, as in Sinestro. But I'll let you
Right.
explain it to everybody else.
Yes. So as far as him asking, what's his name, he wanted to be sure or to see how far his child watched that show. Obviously, his father being in the military, not the same kind of military, but the military nonetheless, he seems to have some kind of classified top secret information on the Green Lantern, on Hal Jordan. So he wanted to see how much of that show or how much he had learned about this Green Lantern. He's clearly set to be grooming his son. He believes what was said on that show, what how the way Hal Jordan had told everyone that he told him he wasn't afraid and he received the ring because he was worthy, because he wasn't afraid. But then we later learn that that wasn't the case. It was a simple case of he was there when the guy crash landed, the alien, and he was given the ring as more of a you'll do. So we learned that that was a lie, more or less. I mean, yes, there is the Green Lantern oath that has to be taken in order to kind of gain the powers and the responsibility, which we have not really got to yet. So
Yeah.
we'll see how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, they explained the how he met, but I wonder if they're gonna go back and show how he met Abin Sur.
yeah,
I think that's probably what they're gonna do.
right,
Maybe.
exactly. But as far as the father is concerned, he believes what was told. So he believes that the fear or the lack of fear is the major part about becoming a lantern. And he's trying to groom his son into being the next lantern. I mean, we see it all the way up to the point that he's in the car with Hal Jordan. They're talking on the phone. So I feel like his father is pushing for it because he wants control over a lantern in a way. That's what I feel the father's motivation is.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously he's misled.
Yeah.
That's not the case because we know that yes, fear has something to do with it, but it's not so much just not being afraid, it's just not submitting to that fear.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that there's kind of like each character has their own motivation and limited information on certain things, and as a result, are doing one thing or another. So there's a depth to it, and that is enjoyable. And I believe that they should really develop that more into the show, and that will take us in different directions, which is good for a murder mystery.
Yeah.
So we'll see just how far that goes and just how in depth the writers want to get with that, without truly confusing people. But the best part about a murder mystery is you're supposed to be confused up until the end, but only if the ending is written so well that all the questions are answered properly.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I didn't get all of it, and when you said that, you put the pieces together, I'm like, "Okay, I get it now, that makes sense." But, no, I can't be the only person who was a little bit confused by that. The other thing too, like you said, it leaves it wide open for who did what, how'd he die, if he is really dead. That's the other thing because we were just talking about it, just dawned on me now. Maybe Sinestro took the ring, and maybe Sinestro isn't, evil right now or, has the yellow ring. Maybe he's using Green Lantern's ring, and he's a Green Lantern still, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
could
know
go
how they could do it.
multiple ways. The one thing I'm not entirely happy about is how they're making it seem like there is only one ring and that you just inherit it, which is, again, those that know about Green Lantern. Guy Gardner, John Stewart, Hal Jordan can all be lanterns at the same time. When you're chosen, the ring manifests on your finger. You know, it's something that, yeah, again, the ring chooses you, but it's not constrained. I mean, the power itself, it's not constrained to physical limitations.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's obvious that there is more than one Green Lantern, at least at this time, because we do have Guy Gardner. Now,
Exactly.
maybe there's only 2 at once at this point, which would be relatively Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner, soon to be
But that
John
would leave
Stewart.
John Stewart a little confused, right? How are there 2 when I'm supposed to take over? Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly,
So we have a lot to watch to truly understand where this is gonna
exactly.
go.
And before we wrap up here, I just wanna say a few things that I did like about it. I thought it had a good comedy, kind of like we talked about, buddy cop approach, especially when they're at the bar and he's playing the "I Got a Brand New Key" song, which funny, this has nothing to do with this show, but Amazon did a reboot of this old comedy show called Kids in the Hall in, like, 2002, and they had a little sketch and they were playing that song over and over, and
It could be a reference or
I
something.
don't
I
know,
don't
it
know.
just drove me nuts, and it was I guess it was meant to be annoying in that show, and it's just funny how they pulled that from there because it was annoying, and they used it in this show, and they made it annoying again, and I loved how he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's simple. I'm just gonna get my butt whooped and get thrown in jail," and, Jon Stewart kinda figured that out, but he's like, everybody realizes that that's not, like, a plan that's probably gonna work, and it technically didn't work because
Yeah.
the cop, she was like, "Yeah,
Put him in a
he's an
closet.
idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're not going there, buddy, sorry." But either way, he was able to get his chance to speak to the alien, and I loved how they had that whole banter. He's like, "What about Harry Potter?" And it's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
you are an alien." I just love that. That was great, and the thing that's gonna be sad for me is because Hal Jordan, the way he is in this, and especially how he interacts with Jon Stewart. Like, Jon Stewart is the straight man, Hal Jordan's the comic relief. I feel like when you get rid of one, it's not gonna be
As
as
good for the other,
dynamic,
yeah.
but we'll see. I mean, the other thing that was funny is Jon Stewart met a nice lady at the bar, had a little fun, and then they went to this guy's what would you call it, ranch, and found out that that was his wife.
Yeah.
He enjoyed the barbecue. Let's just say that. I feel like there's a lot of good things in this, but I felt maybe for a lamer person, will just call me that, as far as trying to read between the lines when it comes to some of the story beats here. Maybe it could have been written a little bit better. The
I
beginning
agree. I
part.
do feel like the, sleeping with his wife was very unnecessary and, just didn't feel like that was the time for it even. It just felt a little rushed to throw it almost felt like it was thrown in there on purpose, which we may learn that she slept with him on purpose. Maybe it was a plan, and
Maybe
if
she's
that's
an
the case,
alien.
maybe she's an alien. Maybe there's just a deeper plan for them to get them connected because he wanted, you know, Hal Jordan there. Obviously, there's plans for him, um, and it clearly is leading towards something much bigger. There was, a very specific favor that is needed. Obviously, we don't know what that is yet, and of course, by the time that he dies, it is probably done or in the past or something. So we will learn what that is eventually, probably sooner than later, because that's going to be their first stop. Honestly, I wanna see more aliens, but I wanna see more aliens that aren't just humans, you know? I wanna see how far they're gonna take this, and in what direction are we really gonna go?
Yeah, as far as the aliens go, I have a feeling it's gonna be very Men in Black. That's what I'm kinda
Yeah,
thinking, like, their disguises, and then they'll just break out of the skin or whatever, but the whole part when he actually uses his lantern to cover up the explosion was pretty cool. That's the first we actually seen him using it as a construct. And I know some people might
Well, we
say,
saw him with the bottle opener.
yeah, but some people might be a little upset because normally when you see Green Lantern fly, he has like the green aura around him. Yes, he
Yeah.
kind of had an aura around him in this, but I feel like they would just kind of use that green aura around him when he's flying only to protect him from something. I mean, that's
Yeah.
my way
Yeah,
of
it's more of a
thinking
shield
about
than
it.
it is yeah. Also, I mean, we've already seen the way Guy Gardner flies around, so
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the show, and I hope you guys are looking forward to our review on it. So, with that said, this has been another episode of the Plotcast where we discussed the first episode of Lanterns. We hope you guys are going to be here for our review of the season. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. Are you guys liking what's going on here with this show? Are you not? Obviously, yes, Tom King, one of the great comic book writers, he's even written some Green Lantern, is working on this. So hopefully, if you're disappointed, hopefully he turns that around. And if you're not disappointed, hopefully he doesn't disappoint you at all. But needless to say, I enjoyed it. I think Chris enjoyed it.
yeah.
Um, we hope to see you guys here. And if you guys don't know us, we are Plot Hole Productions. You can find us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you guys haven't already, like and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Plot Hole Productions. I'm your host, Nate Slater,
And I'm Chris Sambrook, and we'll catch you in the
in the
void.
void.